Hi guys. So, first things first, there is no set topic for this video. It's going to be a bit of a ramble, kind of discussing a few things that I just wanted to talk about because I'm in the mood to make a video and I don't have a general topic. So, bear with me. There's just a handful of things that I kind of want to cover, so it's gonna be another Nightowl Ramble. And hopefully my ring light will stay on. We'll see. But first things first, I just wanted to say if you guys celebrated, happy Beltane. I had made a video earlier where I was walking around barefoot in my backyard and I was kind of chatting about this day a little bit and reconnecting and all that stuff. And then my phone decided to reboot in the middle of the video, so that didn't happen. Hi Prue. I'm probably gonna have a cat up here in a moment. So I was a little bit frustrated about that because I was excited to do that, and yeah, it didn't work. And I was sitting here thinking today that this sabbat really snuck up on me. Like, I didn't give it much thought until this morning, and then I was like, oh yeah, I should probably do something. And it's strange because Ostara was fantastic. Things really worked out really well. I had everything planned out. I knew exactly what I was going to do and what ritual, and I was going to make my oil, and I was really involved and super excited. And then a month went by and I strained my oil and it turned out really well, and I shared a video with you guys on how I made it. And then, what are you doing? She's loving my desk. And then this sabbat came and I'm not feeling it. And you know what? That's okay, because I'm not really sure what I want to do, and I think I just kind of want to sit this one, not necessarily sit it out because I'm still being present, but just kind of laying low. So what I did instead is I went on a nature walk with my kids today and some of my husband's family here, and it was fantastic, and I had a great time. And we got out in nature and it was 40 something degrees here and it just felt nice. So sometimes you don't need to do an elaborate ritual. Sometimes you don't always have to have a plan. And that's one of the joys of being, a wing it witch, in my opinion, of how I handle my path. A lot of the time it's just, oh, something feels right, we're gonna do it this way. So you don't always have to have some big elaborate ritual planned. Sometimes it just, even if you just take 2 minutes to step outside and reconnect, it's all that matters. So that's kind of what's going on with me for this sabbat. No candles lit, no rituals, just chilling. Which is okay. I almost thought about going out and getting wine. She's distracting me because she's so cute. And then I just didn't do it. So that's okay too. The other things I wanted to talk about in this video was I kind of wanted to go over... Hi? Life with cats? Really? Yeah? Okay. I wanted to go over alright. The books that I am currently reading and the big giant stack of books that are my to read. I have actually been doing really well with my reading practice, and some books of which I do plan on doing reviews on this channel if they are related to most of the topics that I cover on this channel. I still have to do a book review on my on the Psychic Tarot, and that was something I thought about doing tonight, but I was like, yeah, I'm just not feeling doing that either. So I'll get it up for you guys. I really do recommend that book. It's fantastic. But I'm going to quickly show the books that I have in my to read, or I'm currently going through. I find for me that it's easier to just read through one book at a time. I know some people have several books they're reading at once, and I get overwhelmed, and then I don't read. So the one I'm currently working on is Kitchen Table Tarot by Melissa Sanova. I'm not going to do a full review on this book yet, but I'm just going to tell you guys that it's freaking fantastic. This is a library book, so that's why all the stickers are on it. But I am not terribly far in. I'm just in the majors. I think I am on the Chariot. But the first few chapters are basically just busting some of the myths of tarot and kind of talking about her personal experiences and how she became a reader. And I like her energy. I like how down to earth she is, and I like the realism. I mean, I feel like on a practical sense, everybody should read this book just because it would make you understand tarot so much more just on a very down to earth sense. Whereas 78 Degrees of Wisdom or the Holistic Tarot are just, they're very analytical. They deep dive into it, and I'm not saying that this doesn't deep dive, because it definitely does, but it does it in a different way. So I do highly recommend this book. It's fantastic so far. I will get more into it as soon as I finish it, and I will hopefully do a review for you guys on that one. I'm gonna have to put that on my bed because cats. So now we're going to get into my two reads. This one is called Dreaming the Soul Back Home. It's by Robert Moss. It's basically about shamanic dream work for healing and becoming whole. So basically he talks about how trauma creates fractures in our soul, and those fractures can be found and recovered through dream work. And I just thought it was really fascinating. So this is on my to read. Obviously, because these are to read, I don't have a whole lot to say about the books since I haven't gotten through them yet, but I just really wanted to share with you guys some of the books that I'm really looking forward to reading. Just gonna be setting those on the floor. Everybody knows this book, 78 Degrees of Wisdom by Rachel Pollack. I've kind of got into it a little bit, but I'm only really kind of in the first chapter, and it's one of those reads that you can't just blast through it. I mean, it requires a lot of processing. So this is why I kind of stepped away from this and went to Melissa Sanova's book first, and then I will come and tackle 78 Degrees of Wisdom. Ooh, okay. This is another one I actually just found recently. I had found it on Amazon and I was really curious about it, but then I so happened to walk into Half Price Books after an appointment of mine, because it's near where my physician is, and I found it for $7. So I was like, alright, so this is Dark Moon Mysteries, and it's by Timothy Roderick, and it's basically just about working with the shadow self and spell work and pretty much everything that entails. And I really kind of wanted to dive more into this aspect, kind of facing, you know, the darker parts of me, because I feel like with, you know, going through therapy and stuff, diving into shadow work and whatnot, it's just, I think, going to be a natural part of my healing process. So hopefully this will work for me. Hopefully this is something that is what I'm looking for. I'm looking forward to reading it. I'll let you guys know what I think of it. The next book is not spirituality based, depending on how you look at it. But this came recommended from a friend of mine. She actually purchased the book for me, and I'm very, very excited to read it. As you can tell, yes, it is. The cover is racy because that is what it's about. It's called Come As You Are, and it is by Emily Nagoski. And it's all about sexuality. It's all about the woman's body. And it goes even into not just the physical, but the emotional, and kind of, it really dissects sexuality, and it basically is like everything that you should have learned in sex ed. So I'm really looking forward to this because I am a very sex positive person, and you know, I just think that it's going to help also on my healing journey. So I'm really happy that my friend got this for me. I'm really looking forward to reading this book. The next two were also gifts from a good friend. The first one is called Love Warrior by Glenn Doyle. You guys may have heard of her. If I'm not mistaken, she's a very well-known author of words. But this was gifted to me by a good friend who went and saw her speak, and I actually really don't know much about Glenn Doyle or her books, but I'm very excited to give this a read. I kind of thumbed through it, and I was like, hey, this seems really, really interesting, so I'm excited. I always love it when my friends give me books. This one I'm sure some of you guys may have heard of as well. It's called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. I know you guys, most people know who Elizabeth Gilbert is, but for those who don't know, she's the author of Eat, Pray, Love. But this is all about those who are the creative types, and they kind of like how to kind of let your creativity blossom and to create something of it, even for, say, with a business. So I'm really looking forward to this because excuse me, I am an artistic person, and this is something that I've struggled with tremendously, so I'm looking forward to seeing what this book's about. So, those are the books that I have on my to read, including the book that I am reading. Now I'm going to move on to another thing that I kind of wanted to quickly talk about in this video, is deck modification. And I've done one other video because I kind of started to dip my toes into it, and that was I trimmed my Crystal Visions tarot, and that was the first tarot that I trimmed, and I kind of showed how I did it and, you know, what my process was for what worked for me. The other thing that I had done in that evening was I also edged a deck of mine, which was the Moonology Oracle. I took a stamp pad and did that method of just sliding the edges of the cards on the stamp pad. But this time I decided that there's a few decks that I modified last night. I did 3 of them. So, I'm going to very carefully bring these over and hope that they don't slide, fall, and wake up a child, and then my mom recoup time comes to a screeching halt. So the first deck that I modded, actually, I just modded very minimally. I found this on Amazon's warehouse deals. I've been kind of curious about this deck for a while. I found it for under $10, so I figured, why not? The only problem is that I'm gonna need to get a box for it, or a bag for it, because the box is really beat up and Amazon stuck the big fat stickers on it, you know, so. But you know what? It was under $10, so I'm not gonna argue. But, this is the Triple Goddess Tarot, and it is by, Jamie Elford. Yes, Jamie Elford. I know that the artwork is by, okay, I know that she didn't do the artwork, I know she wrote it. Franco Rivoli. And it's really pretty. The backs. The only thing is that with this deck, is that there are no titles. So what I did is, for the quartz, I didn't put any titles on them. I just, or no, for the minors, I did not put any titles on them. As you can see, there's a sword down here and a number, so I figured that was good enough for me. But for the quartz, there's like a crown, and then you can see the cup. So I just put a small P for the page, and then this is Judgment. So that's one of the major arcana. So I actually wrote in silver Sharpie on that. And then another major arcana, the Hanged One. She does change a few of the names of the major arcana in this deck, as well as the kings in the court are the elders. So, and I'll just show you what I did with that if I get to one here. But yeah, so see, there's a queen, Queen of Wands. It's the King of Wands, but it is, oh no, it's King of Pentacles. But I actually just put like a really tiny K right there. You can't see it because of the glare, but and then Chariots, Silver Sharpie. So my handwriting, honestly, not super keen on it, but I don't plan on rehoming this deck. I plan on using it for daily draws, which is another thing I've learned, is that I'm starting to prefer certain decks for daily draws and prefer other decks for going into deeper readings. This is Strength, but instead it is titled The Mother, which I really like this card a lot. I don't know if it will go. Focus. And then, yeah, so I've got there it goes. I saw it focus there. That's sweet. But yeah, it's a oh my goodness, it's a fantastic deck, and I really like it. I love the artwork. It's very, I want to say very like I can't even just put, I can't even think of the word. Here's one of the elders, or the king. The other thing about this deck is, you know, it obviously does the maiden, mother, and crone aspects. And then there aren't really any men. And my one gripe with that, actually, is that the only man in the deck is the Emperor, and they make him look frightening. That's my one thing that I'm like, why? I don't know, that could have just been done differently, I don't know. But it's a very beautiful deck. It's very soulful, is kind of what I was looking at, or trying to go for. Here's the Magician, but instead she's the Maiden. So, this one is interesting. This is the Devil, but instead it's the Crone. Also, I'm kind of annoyed because my C looks more like a G, so it kind of looks like it says the Groan. Queen of Wands, or the King of Wands, excuse me. I love the Queen of Cups. Last night, as I had this laying out on the table, I picked up this card. This is the King of Cups, excuse me. I picked up this card and I was like, I showed it to my husband and I was like, can I just be like her when I get older? Can I just do that? And he was just like, okay. There's the Knight of Cups. Yeah. The other interesting thing is that this deck comes with 2 Fool cards. And I'm trying to figure out which one I like better. Because I like that she's barefoot in this one, but her outfit is really badass in that one. Just to be superficial, you know. So yeah, I'm really liking this deck for daily draws, and I'm going to be working with it all this month, as well as the Dark Goddess Tarot, which I'm doing another thing with, the Tarot Challenge. And then I am working with the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit Oracle, which is another one of my favorites. But yeah, I really enjoyed this deck. I struggled between getting this, and then there was 2 others that I was interested in, but I actually think I'm happy with my choice here. So, especially since I was able to find it for, you know, not that much. So I love this 4 Swords. Oh, so good, so good. But yeah, so I'm not going to show the whole deck, but that's the mods that I made. I just made a very simple mod where I wrote on it for the majors, the courts, and or just the majors and the courts. definitely going to need a bag for this. But yeah, so that's a Triple Goddess Tarot, and I quite like it. And then the other deck mod I did is, this is my Angels and Ancestors. I love, 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 love this deck. This deck took me by complete surprise, and I cannot believe how much I love this deck. Now, please excuse the fact that this is probably going to need a second coat. I am still working with it, but I edged it. And the thing is that I decided to use the Sharpie method, which I was nervous to do, because the thing about Sharpie is that it's not as forgiving as using an ink pad by Prue. It's permanent, obviously, so if you slip, you're gonna mess up your cards, and that was scary to me. So I basically, and most people actually recommend that you do a chisel tip, but I actually was doing a fine point, and I would just hold and just kind of very slowly. It took me a while, but the other thing about this card is I did slip these cards, excuse me, I did slip a few times, and the few times that there was Sharpie that had shown up, you really can't tell with how these cards are made. They have like brushed bits of gold in the back, so where, I don't know if I have, if I can find one to show you guys, but, oh, yeah, here we go. It's funny because, like, I normally would be such a perfectionist about this and I wouldn't be able to stand it, but you can see, whoop, right here and there, I slipped a little bit. You can see the Sharpie. It probably looks worse on camera, but I look at it and I actually think it looks really cool. So, not to say that I'm going to take the Sharpie and go all over the card, but I'm not bothered by it. But decks, like, there are a lot of decks that are not as forgiving as this one is. So that's my one caution with the Sharpie, is that you're going to want to be really careful. The ink pad method is more messy, and that was the other thing that I had learned, is that, you know, you got to go really slow. So, it worked out pretty well, but I do think it needs a second coat. So, we'll see. I kind of like the, like, brushed antique-y look it's kind of giving it, though. So, I'm pretty proud of myself for that one, because it was a little bit scary to do, but I did it. And that's the only mod that I will make to that deck, because this deck is just, it's so pretty, and it's fantastic, and I ended up loving this deck way more than I thought I would. I was really turned off by it in the beginning, before I actually looked through or saw reviews and purchased it. Okay, so the last one that I modded, which you might have just seen because I just lifted up the damn thing. Oh my god. I gotta read through this bad boy. I trimmed the Wildwood Tarot, and I'm happy I did. The only thing is that my copy, every other copy I've seen of the Wildwood Tarot has the trees on the back, and mine doesn't. And I don't know why that is. There's no... So the back does not look super great, and I don't really know what I'm going to do about that. Like, I don't really want to reback them, because that seems like a giant pain. But I also thought, like, I could paint something on the back here, but that's 78 cards of painting something. It would take me a while. So, or maybe I could just get 78 stickers of... I don't want to put stickers on my tarot cards, though. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll just ignore it and pretend like it's not there. But the fronts look fantastic. The one thing about this deck is that his artwork, Will Worthington's artwork, is gorgeous. And, whoop, let's just throw cards because this is what we do. Problem is that, like, the glare and the stuff and the things. I just want to get this all up in your business, guys. I told you this was going to be a rambly, like, weird, terrible video that makes you wonder why you're subscribed to me. But yeah, this I mean, I really, really wanted to get pulled into the artwork more. There's just so much going on, and the colors are very rich, and this deck has a lot to say. It's very unique, it's very individual. It kind of has its own system, but it's still Rider Waite, and I kind of wanted to work with it more. I wanted to get pulled into it more, and I felt like that was really only going to happen if I trimmed off the borders, which is a strange thing, but I am an artist. I'm very visual, and if something's not working for me, I'm gonna find a way to change it, because that's what artists do. So that's just, I just needed to be able to really get pulled into this artwork and to understand this deck on a deeper level, which I'm hoping to do more of. But if you guys have noticed, the only decks that I have chosen to modify are decks that I can easily get a hold of. That's something I would recommend when you're first starting out, and I don't have the need to modify all of my decks. Some of them are perfect the way that they are. Others, only a little bit, like maybe want to edge a deck, you know? But I like the fact that I trimmed this. I feel like it does more justice to the beautiful artwork that's there, and that I can get pulled into the scenery more. I recently rehomed my Shadowscapes, and one of my biggest gripes about that deck, I had it for a really long time and I loved it. The artwork is beautiful, but it's too small. And I didn't want to trim the borders off because it was beautiful silver borders. But I was having a hard time looking at the images, and it's probably because I have really bad eyes. Like I have my contacts in right now, and I usually have my contacts in when I film just because my other glasses are so, my new glasses are so reflective, but like it's really, really hard to see. And it was a shame because the Shadowscapes had such a beautiful, beautiful artwork. It's a gorgeous deck, much like this is. But I couldn't bring myself to trim it, and I definitely felt like it was time to just pass it on. But this deck I'm looking forward to really getting into. I tried to read with it in March for my daily draws, and I'm thinking this deck just might not be a good one for daily draws. I don't know. It might just be one that's going to be a deep dive where I really get into reading through the guidebook. Because, I mean, if you guys have seen the Wildwood Tarot, this book is thick. And it's got its own system, really, for how it's set up. And I really, really want to get into it. But I'm working with other decks right now, so this is probably something I might do over the summer months, maybe the fall, because it's kind of a fall deck. You know, it just makes you think of the fall. It's very woodsy. Maybe even the winter, you know, just because I might need this kind of greenery to reconnect. I love this card. This actually became a stalker card as I was using this deck for daily draws. But I'm happy I did it. I don't regret it. It took a while, but I did it. And the thing is that when you trim a deck, it's not going to be perfect. And as I mentioned in my other video where I talk about deck mods, you gotta let that go, which that's so hard for me to do. It's huge that I did that. It's huge that I let that go. So I probably will eventually get a bag for this one, maybe just because the box is gigantic. The box is beautiful, but I also cannot stand the fact that it's like this. And I have to like flip them over to get them out. I don't know. I'm probably just complaining about superficial stuff, but yeah, so happy I did it. So those are the deck mods that I kind of got myself into. I don't really ever intend on, I think, writing on any other decks when it comes to this one. But like I said, I don't plan on getting rid of this deck. And I'm happy I did it because it kind of gave it more of a personalized touch to me. So that's the other interesting thing about modding decks, is that you can connect with them on a different level and see them in a different light. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But, and I don't, like I said, I don't plan on modding every deck that comes in to my possession, but there are certain ones that I feel called to do, and I'll do it. But it's kind of a fun artistic project for me. But that being said, the other artistic thing that I'm going to start delving back into is my Book of Shadows, and I will once again do another update once I add more pages to that, just to show you guys, because it's something that I really enjoy doing, and it's something I really enjoy sharing, and I hope that I can inspire people to get going with their Books of Shadows, because letting go of that perfectionism is something that, once again, was huge for me to do in order to work with my Book of Shadows and to really start turning into something that I genuinely loved. Also taking up the concept of a Book of Mirrors, where I dump more of my thoughts and things like that into that, and create the Book of Shadows as more of a medium of art for my spirituality and expressing my spirituality in an artistic way. Splitting those two into two different categories was big for me. It helped me do this way easier. So it helped me carry out this process way easier, and it was so big for me to do it. I'm really happy that I did it that way, and that's what works for me. So if that's something that you struggle with, then I would recommend that as well. With that being said, that concludes this video for my Nightowl Ramble, sharing my books, talking about the Sabbat, and sharing the deck mods that I have done. I hope you have enjoyed this video. As always, please leave comments down below if you have any questions, or just want to say something to me, or just, you know, tell me I'm weird, because I am. Blessed be, guys. I hope you are having a lovely week. I'm recording this on a Wednesday, so it's midweek. Catch you soon.